All right, good morning. We're going to go ahead and outline the expectations from the energy fold that is located on page 61 of your interactive notebook. The first thing that we want to talk about is being able to recognize that the page numbers are in the bottom left, and then there will usually be a title associated with that page, so that way you know what to do on each page. On page 1, you're going to draw 3 different examples of energy being made or used. We've talked about thermal energy and electrical energy, radiant energy, nuclear energy. You're going to draw 3 examples of that. The picture you draw could be how the energy source is an input source or an output source. So that's up to you on that first page. Now remember, your artwork doesn't have to be perfect. Stick figures are perfectly fine. However, if you feel like you could express your artwork a little bit better, please feel free to do so. All right, so on page 2, you're going to define what is energy. Now, you can use that definition that you find on page R58 of your red book that you keep in class. And then you're going to do what is the law of conservation of energy. You can find this in your interactive notebook, but you can also find it on page R60 of the red book that you keep in class here on campus. That's for page 2. And on page 3, we're going to talk about how to classify energy. There's 2 classes. There's potential energy and there's kinetic energy. You're going to label each of these points. So like in the roller coaster simulation that we did online, there's different points of high potential and low potential energy, and then different points of high kinetic and low kinetic energy. So if you would, put those letters underneath each one of your classes of energy, whichever you think goes there. So for instance, if you think A is the highest kinetic energy, you'd put A in this column. If you think A is the highest potential energy, you'd put A in that column. So go ahead and just label page 3 with your classes of energy, letting me know that you understand where that energy is the highest and lowest. For page 4, you're going to define potential energy. You can use your interactive notebook to do that. We have some definitions on page 58. And then you're going to define kinetic energy. And then if you would, make a small drawing, something that helps me see that you understand what it means to have potential energy and what it means to have kinetic energy. Again, I'm not looking for perfect artwork here. I just want you to show me the best you can if you understand potential and kinetic energy. All right, so on to page 5. I want you to list the types of potential energy, and then I want you to list the types of kinetic energy. So for example, we know that chemical energy is typically stored in batteries. So we are waiting around to use that energy in an electrical form. So we have our battery that is chemical, and it's potentially there to help us operate an electrical item, much like the small fan motor that I showed you guys in class. So we know that chemical energy is a type of energy, and it's classified as potential energy. So list the types of energy that we have and if they're potential or kinetic. And that is on page 5. Excuse me. On page 6, define non-renewable energy and draw and explain 2 different examples of non-renewable energy. It is important, we talked about that the other day, of how we get energy into our homes, for instance, electrical energy, and how it ends up in your outlet at your house or at school, and where that energy comes from. So we have non-renewable energy in this column. And then if you would, define renewable energy and draw and explain 2 examples of renewable energy, energy that we know will be around for a long time. So just if you would, again, I'm not looking for perfect artwork. I just want you to show me the best you can, that you understand what non-renewable and renewable energy are. And for our last page, on page 7, I want you to list as many non-renewable energy sources as you can. So just go right down the list. You can look these up using a device, or you can look these up in your red book. And then on this side of page 7, I'd like for you to list as many renewable energy sources as you can over here on this part of page 7. So that's going to be our energy fold. Again, it's located on page 61. Feel free to go back and watch the video. I've also put the directions up on the whiteboard in class, so you can access the directions from there also. If you have any questions, just come see me.